Hello, my name's Cameron Mueller and I am an athletic field tech for the City of Lincoln Parks and Rec. We're currently at Densmore. Today what we're going to show you is kind of our expectations of how to take care of our equipment before the game and after the game. We'll show you where our supplies are. Currently where I'm standing it would be behind Field 1, next to our concession stand building, and then off on the side where this door is, you guys will have access to our supplies. And if you need to get into that, you have to go to the concession stand for that to unlock. And then when it's unlocked, you'll have access to everything that we have. Currently, this is how we expect it to look at pretty much all times. This is how it'll look when you get here. We would like it to look like this when you guys are done. You'll see on our back wall that we have all the rakes you'll need. We have our chalkers, a couple of them, and then you'll have a couple hand drags, which I do recommend using those. Behind our chairs over here, we have a couple different batter box brackets, just if you guys need to use that when you're chalking. There will always be at least 3 to 5 bags of chalk out for you guys to use. Over here we have our supplies. This will always be locked. We ask that nobody try to access it. It's locked, has a roof. These are supplies for the staff only. And like I said, it's clean right now and we like to keep it that way. So make sure when you guys are done using anything, even if it's just a mallet, to put the tools back, put our rakes back on the wall, put our chalkers back. A couple of things I wanted to mention before we're done in the storage room is we do have this hose. This actually is for staff only, so please don't try to water anything on your own. This is actually just used for cleaning restrooms. It has nothing to do with the field itself, so please don't use this hose. And then as far as our lights are concerned here at Densmore, as you know, they are programmed through athletics, so there's nothing on site that you need to do as far as turning them on and off. There's these old switches, do not use them. If you do need your lights turned on earlier for whatever reason, if it gets kind of darker than you're expecting, you have to go to the concession stand, and then whoever is running the concession stand can program your lights to turn on. But please do not use these lights. It kind of messes the system up. The only thing you need to worry about is turning the lights on inside the storage room, just that one. Other than that, we're done with the storage room. Turn off the light, and then you'll close the door behind you. And make sure when you are not using the room to also keep the door closed, because we don't want random children or anybody else just kind of going in there and messing with chalk bags or our equipment. If you're using fields 1 or 2 here out at Densmore and you have someone interested in using our scoreboards, you'll have to have that person that's interested come to the concession stand with their license to check out the controls for either one of the scoreboards. We're currently on Field 1 in the dugout. What you need to know about Densmore is the 2 baseball fields are 60-90 fields, and then they're essentially identical. Both will have dugouts that have a job box. They're unlocked for you guys. Everything you guys will need on the field as far as extra stakes for the tarps or cleat cleaners or mallets will be inside the box. So if there's something you're needing, more than likely it's in this box. And then on the flip side, if you use things, say the mallet, make sure you do put it back in here so we don't have it floating around in the grass. Now we're at the home plate on Field 1, and what I want to demonstrate now is kind of a couple things about our tarps, our expectations of how you stake them down and how you roll them up and then store them during your game and then putting them back on the home plate after you guys are done with the game. So you'll see we have stakes in now. This is what our stakes should look like. You will use the mallet that we supply for you guys. We want them flush with the tarp, but we don't want them pinned where it's literally creasing over the tarp, because then that will tear the grommet out. But we also don't want you guys to leave the stakes like that. because that doesn't really do a whole lot. We get heavy wind out here, and that will just rip this right off home plate. And then another thing about the stakes, you will see that you only need to put them every other hole. It's not necessary to go every hole. And we also don't want you to do not enough where it's every 2 holes, every 3 holes. Just always try to make sure you do every other hole. Now I'll demonstrate how we remove our tarps. The process that works best for us is we remove the stakes one by one, going around, and then just placing them back behind where they were, and then somebody else can come pick them up and put them in the job box. We do ask that you keep cleats off of these tarps. They are extremely expensive to replace, and cleats will punch through them very quickly. For the most part, you don't really need to walk on them at all. You can technically with tennis shoes, but we prefer that you just, if you can, just stay around the edge if possible. And always remember, like I said, to not have your cleats on the tarp.
You gotta keep it low for the window. This way. You want more on his side than your side.
Like that?
Right there. And then you adjust it to make sure it kind of looks like a T, because you want this to be snug. Roll it and underneath. That way, and we'll roll it for a little bit, or we can show carrying. There. Now it's rolling. Yep. Because you're controlling it going straight, and we're controlling it going the other way.
As you'll see in the example that we just performed, the home plate tarp, you do have to fold in half, because if you don't, it is actually too wide. So it'd hang over both sides of the black tube that we use. So you do have to fold in half before you use it. And then when you get it up against the fence, make sure the loose side is up against the actual chain link, because then it keeps it secure and the wind won't blow it around. And then it's the same thing with our mound. You don't have to fold that one in half, but it does come over here. You roll it or carry it over here, and you can just place it butted up right against this tube. It'll stay out of the way. It's just right out of the third base dugout. And then it is something to remember that it is the home team. They are responsible for putting these tarps back on home plate and the mound after the game. Now we're at the mound on field 1. To talk about this tarp, it's the same concept as our home plate, but like I said, you don't have to fold this one in half before you roll it. It is small enough that it will fit on a roller. The stakes are the same concept, every other hole, and make sure they're actually touching the tarp but not pressing the tarp into the ground where it might tear it. As far as roll-up procedure on this one, it's pretty straightforward. All you need to do is make sure that your tube itself is centered in the middle of your tarp, and then you will roll it from front to back, and then either roll it or carry it over to the third base dugout fence where our home plate is also at. Once you have the tarps off, the next thing you'll want to do is chalk and prepare your field. Please watch the next video for that.
You always carry it low.
Once you've placed our tarps back on the field, always make sure that the 2 black rolls go back on home plate. Don't leave them on the grass, because even though it's going in nighttime, generally speaking, when you're done, it will kill grass. So always make sure these are back on the tarp at home plate.